I guess we're live. That's a little bit early. Well, then I would say we give everyone a little bit of time to arrive. And while you get ready, make yourself a little bit comfortable. You can get something to drink. And I will set everything up here. Yeah, so this is actually the first in a series of new videos that we're making, where we are diving a little bit more into the basics, because the community has been growing quite a bit recently. And so we started thinking about, okay, what are the fundamentals that everyone needs to understand, where everyone should be on the same level. And so this is why we're starting it. All right. Okay, I would say I will do a little bit of a chit chat until we have it on the minute, and then we can let everyone know that we're ready to go. Let's shoot out the tweet. And yeah, thank you. I already see that a few people of you are here. It's really nice to see that there is so much interest in sort of what are the basics of Polkadot, where is Polkadot going. So yeah, let me share this also on Twitter, make sure everyone sees the stream. Say I will do a little bit of a starting now, Polkadot Roadmap 2025. Chit chat until we have it on the minute. I also see your messages let everyone know that we're ready to go. So if you have any questions throughout the stream, throughout the conversation, feel free to let me know. Thank you. I already see that a few people of you are here. Is this really nice to see that there is so much interest in sort of what are the basics of Polkadot, where is Polkadot going. I make sure that I see my director. So yeah, let me share this also on Twitter, make sure everyone sees the feedback that we have two voices. All right, okay. Got it. Okay, this is fixed, thank you. Yeah, also big thanks to my director here, Cheaper, who is making sure that everything is working fine. And I would say we get started now. Yeah. All right. Okay. Hi. Welcome to the Polkadot Roadmap 2025 live stream. Today we will just do a little bit of basics and look at what is going on for Polkadot, because there's quite a lot that is going on. Polkadot has evolved in the last 4 years to become a really powerful engine for Web3 applications. And not everyone paid attention, not everyone was able to follow up, but we see that more and more people are coming, joining the community and asking questions about what has been going on, because Polkadot changed so much. And so today we will look at the roadmap. You will learn everything about Polkadot Cloud, Polkadot Hub. There is also a lot of conversation about Polkadot Jam and individuality, and we will talk about a few selected catalysts that will have a big impact on the market. But before we get started, there is something that I want you to know. I want you to, when you think about Polkadot, I want you to think about Polkadot Cloud and Polkadot Hub, because as always, technology is evolving. There's a lot of developments, but in the end, the question is, what is our big vision? What are we building against? You see a lot of technical developments in all the major ecosystems, but what you always have to ask is, what future are they building? And the perspective, how we see it is Polkadot Cloud and Polkadot Hub. So what you have when you build a blockchain ecosystem is that you're actually building a computer. And so what we do when we look at Polkadot is we look at the core of Polkadot as a computer. And so we want a blockchain computer that is running, that is distributed globally, that is here for people to deploy applications on, to be as powerful, as fast, and as competent as possible. You want the highest quality computation in the most secure manner. So this is what we talk about when we talk about Polkadot. And we differentiate between Polkadot Cloud and Polkadot Hub. So when it comes to understanding Polkadot in 2025, these are the most important concepts, right? So when you think about Polkadot Cloud, you can think a little bit how you think about maybe Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or those things, right? So these are very rich suites of applications. I have a link for you. So when you today visit the website of AWS, Amazon Web Services, it is a powerhouse of products. So it has everything that you could need. You have like analytics products, you have artificial intelligence, you have access to compute, you can have access to databases, gaming technology, media, basically everything. This is hundreds of products, right? And so when we think about Web3, our question is, how can we bring those technologies to Web3, where we can build applications for users that are free from interference of intermediaries, that give you more freedom, that give you more capability. It gives you the possibility to own what you're creating on the web, or it maybe makes it impossible for foreign governments to censor you or to interfere with the way you interact with products. So this is the core reason why we built Web3. And when we think about Polkadot Cloud, we think about a rich ecosystem of different services. This can mean identity, it can mean gaming, it can mean DePIN, real-world assets. It can mean DeFi, of course. So when we look at all these different Web3 verticals, we think of them as services. And they should be embedded in a rich ecosystem where they're connected and where we can leverage all of them, right? So this is why we talk about interoperability. And when you look at other ecosystems, they struggle really hard with interoperability because it was not built into the system from the bottom up. It was built into Polkadot from the bottom up. This is why interoperability is basically a problem that's solved in 2021. Just as shared economic security, just as deploying a parachain into Polkadot. So the base for all of those things was solved in Polkadot in 2021. But of course, as always, when you deploy a new technology, it has initial problems, right? And so the initial problems, we observed them, we try to look at, okay, what can we do better? And a lot of those efforts are going into what we call Polkadot 2.0, or what we called Polkadot 2.0. So when we talk about Polkadot 2.0, it basically is a specific aspect of cloud. And it is this aspect of cloud of, okay, we have those chains, so everyone can take the Polkadot SDK and build a chain, a service for Web3, and deploy it in Polkadot Cloud. And this is what we mean when we have parachains. A parachain is a service that runs in a Polkadot Cloud, and it is available for everyone to tap into and consume, right? So we can zoom a little bit in here. What is Polkadot Cloud? It's a rich landscape of Web3 services. They are natively interoperable, and ideally we have one economy and you use it with one account. Yeah, let me check a little bit of your comments because I saw there was quite a bit flowing in. Right, okay. Yeah, so the first thing we can put on our timeline here is Polkadot 2.0. And Polkadot 2.0 is about to launch. So, yeah, so basically Polkadot 2.0, let me dive a little bit into that and then I give you the exact timing. Polkadot 2.0 is 3 different things. And that's a little bit technical. Like, if you want to talk with your friends about what Polkadot 2.0 is, it's basically more horsepower for Polkadot and for parachains, right? So we had these 3 features. 2 of them are already delivered. The first 2 are already delivered. So agile core times basically introduced the possibility that we have core time markets. That means basically you can rent execution time for your blockchain for 1 month straight. And all the parachains are now running on core time markets, so they're renting execution for 1 month. It's basically like you would be renting on a cloud. You rent 1 month of service, for example, right? So this is what you can do in Polkadot. Agile core time, you rent 1 month of execution for your chain. Async backing was a feature that was also recently introduced. It makes the blocks much more flexible. You can have faster blocks, you can have slower blocks, you can have smaller blocks, bigger blocks, more blocks or less blocks. So it lays the foundation for making everything more flexible. And what it brought out of the box was that all the parachains in Polkadot now run at 6-second block times, with the potential to go much faster. And now with elastic scaling, we are introducing the ability to have basically more horsepower. If your application needs more compute, if it needs more data, with elastic scaling, you can rent it. So this is the last missing piece that will be launching for Polkadot 2.0. And here I asked one of the core developers, and he said that basically they're stabilizing a few more things to increase network stability, and they're looking at the second part of August, right? So this is the first thing we can put on our timeline here today. When we look at elastic scaling and basically Polkadot 2.0, we put it in the second part of August here. And let me make this a little bit smaller here, and we will just say this is Polkadot 2.0. So for anyone who has been asking when is Polkadot 2.0 coming, we're looking at the second part of August. As always, for developers, keep in mind they are doing their best and they're often giving optimistic estimates, right? So it's possible that it moves back, but we will see it in like very short time. It's July right now, so mid of August, like even if they discover one more issue, you'll see that it's launching very soon, and we're looking at the mid of August, right? So this is Cloud 2.0. What will it deliver? Much more flexible markets in terms of how does Polkadot sell its core product, core time. Elastic scaling is the thing that provides the ability to sell it in a very flexible way, so any chain that wants to consume it can consume it in a very flexible manner. And there's quite a lot of chains that already have interest. So we know that Peak, one of the very popular Polkadot parachains, wants to use cores. They have been testing with 15 cores internally. Unique, they have an interest. We know that Origin Trail, like data chain, NFT chains, Polkadot Hub itself will be using multiple cores. Mythical, the gaming chain, they are currently looking into can they actually have one chain per game, which could mean one core per game even, if that is a need, right? So Mythical is just saying, okay, every game that we're deploying, it could be running on its own chain. We have heard of Hydration Frequency, Mandala, Polymac, even vBrick, that they are interested in using multiple cores, and so many of them are waiting for elastic scaling. And we know that Mythical as a gaming chain even migrated from Ethereum to Polkadot because Ethereum could not allow them to have the throughput that they needed, right? So one of the main reasons was actually elastic scaling. They have been waiting for it, and it's finally coming out, right? So Polkadot 2.0, we're looking at the end of August or maybe September, right? So I'm gonna put it here in between. Okay, so that was Polkadot 2.0. Now the next big thing is Polkadot Hub. Polkadot Hub is the starting point for new users and new developers in Polkadot. So Polkadot Hub is the place where you have native DOT, ETH, USDC, USDT, you will have smart contracts, you will have staking, and you will have governance, right? So all the important core features are available on Hub. There is strong bridges that are embedded there. And so basically everything you need to get started in the Polkadot ecosystem. So this is the second part of Polkadot Cloud and Polkadot Hub. While Cloud provides a rich ecosystem of services, Hub is the starting point where you get started as a new user, where you have your DOT address, where you have your DOT tokens, and where you have all kinds of other tokens, right? So this is two things mainly. This is a staking and governance, and this is smart contracts, right? So for staking and governance, they are technically ready. For example, today they are deploying to the Paseo testnet. They will soon deploy to the Kusama testnet and the Innovation Network. And then they are also, they look like they're ready, right? So this is planned for the mid of September. Now, the interesting thing is I'm hearing that technically this is ready, but there is a problem with the integrators. So big companies, let's say big centralized exchanges, I'm not gonna name names, that are integrating against Polkadot, they missed out. They did not pay enough attention. They did not see that this is coming, and so they are now asking to delay everything a little bit, right? So it's unclear. The plan is to have it in the mid of September, but those parties are asking to maybe delay it something further so that they can have the integration from day one, right? So actually we want to look at the mid of September, but it's possible that maybe if there is very big centralized exchanges and they would break, it would not be good. So they're asking to push it back, right? So it's a possibility that we're looking at October. And then smart contracts, they just launched on Kusama, the innovation network of Polkadot. And this is the second big part of Hub, right? Because then you have smart contracts, you have staking governance, and then later on you also have this multi-chain orchestration that I will get into. But smart contracts is also a feature that's like sort of done. We don't have a clear timeline. but it's already launched on Kusama. And I think what the developers are doing right now is they're gathering a lot of data points on how it is being used, right? So we will see a few hackathons in the next few days and weeks that are specifically targeting smart contracts on Kusama, just to see how our Solidity smart contracts on Kusama actually doing. Are they doing fine or not? Do we need anything? So unclear timeline a little bit. I think it will come out like very closer to staking and governance. They already have seen a few issues that they want to get fixed, but like it's basically usable. And it's now about the main priority right now is to improve the developer experience. There is a few issues here. And I think what they will do next, so first priority, my feeling is it's developer experience, and then they will look at performance optimizations. It already runs a bit faster than what you would expect from EVM, but it is built specifically on a new type of virtual machine, the Polkadot virtual machine, that is expected to run much faster, right? And so we're looking at actually having even more performance gains. So this is a little bit of an unclear timeline. I could tell you September, I could tell you October, but in truth, no one like exactly knows. I've asked the development team, and there's like no exact answers, but we could roughly put it in October. And especially like staking governance, it's ready to launch. So the plan would be to launch it in September. Even if there is a delay for some exchanges or something, this is definitely coming in October. And then smart contracts, a little bit less clear. I would say it depends more on how does it feel right now about the developer experience issues. And does the development team already feel comfortable pushing it out? And then there is this thing that's not the official name, XCM orchestration. But what I mean by that is, let's call it multi-chain orchestration. So the idea here is basically that because from the hub, you will be able to use smart contracts, what it will also allow you is to call other chains in the Polkadot Cloud. And so there will come some time after smart contracts are launching when you will be able to do XCM calls to other chains. And XCM is the technology that basically is the language that allows chains to talk to each other. So this is sort of like looking here into the cloud, but this multi-chain orchestration is coming out of smart contracts and then XCM being made available. No exact timeline, but I know that they're already in development. So like this is another question mark a little bit when it is coming exactly. But you would expect it like once like smart contracts are out there, like they're already looking at the XCM precompiles, right? So this is a very exciting thing too. All right. Okay, so this is Polkadot Hub. It's two things. It's the staking and governance migration and smart contracts. And both of them are progressing really nicely. So we can expect to see them in Q4 of this year. And then, Polkadot 2.0 likely to launch still in this quarter. And then you know all the parachains will follow up in terms of when they are activating elastic scaling for them. But I think we will see like a very nice gradual rollout because like at least two chains will like immediately want to use the capabilities that they get from elastic scaling. All right, if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to let me know in the chat. And yeah, so these are the basic features. There is also like a few other nice cloud things that we're looking at. And they don't have an exact timeline. So we will maybe like make it like a very long block that just extends over a longer period of time. And that is sort of user experience features. And there is two of them. There is DOT as payment and there is universal address. So this is basically comes from the realization that we want Polkadot to be a cloud, and that means that ideally you can pay with DOT everywhere, and you can have one address that you use across the whole ecosystem. So this has been an ongoing project, but what we see is that more and more chains are hopping on, right? It's not easy for a chain to change this mechanism, but they receive a lot of guidance, and so we see this transition of more chains being willing to accept DOT as a payment token and as a universal address. So this is ongoing. It will keep going, but like very important chains like Hydration already recently migrated to accepting this. Yeah, then there is another important thing, and that is the question when spammening. So the Polkadot spammening, let me go a little bit into this. So in December of 2024, Polkadot actually broke a world record, and it had 143,000 transactions per second, right? So the detail is, it wasn't a test on Polkadot, it was on Kusama, but it's the same base technology. It's running the same tech, and it was basically, I don't know, it was like 23 or so Polkadot cores that were running this experiment, and this was 143,000 transactions. So if you calculate it up, it would actually mean if you would use all 100 Polkadot cores, you would have like 500, 600,000 transactions per second. The problem why we cannot emulate it so easily on Polkadot is because on Polkadot, all the cores are rented out, right? And so it's not so easy to just like rent all the cores to do this experiment. So this is a little bit of a challenge of how you can like finally prove that you have the same spammening on Polkadot where you have 100,000 or maybe in the future even 1 million transactions per second. But yeah, I think like I'm hoping we will see some kind of reenactment of the spammening this year, maybe on Kusama with, let's say, a few 100,000 transactions per second, or maybe we find a way to use the existing parachains on Polkadot and actually like maybe do a more sophisticated spamming. So this is a little bit of a speculation here, but let's put this in the catalyst section where we say there is a spammening, and then the spammening might be happening on Polkadot, on Kusama. There is talks about this, but it's a little bit speculative, and so I'm gonna make this like dashed lines so that we know this is like a little bit speculative right now. But I would expect something like this to happen by the end of the year. It would be really nice to have like another spammening by the end of the year. So I'm putting this speculatively at the end of 2025. All right. And then there is another thing. So there was just I think the Web3 Foundation just made a contract, or maybe it was Parity, to integrate NOMT. So one of the co-founders of Polkadot, Robert Habermeier, like 2 years ago or so, stopped working directly with Parity and Polkadot team and sort of ventured off. And he wanted to focus a very specific problem, and that is how can you solve the storage bottleneck, basically reading storage. How can you solve the reading storage bottleneck in blockchains, because it's a very big bottleneck. And he developed this technology called NOMT, nearly optimal Merkle trees, and he basically solved the problem, or he innovated on that and provided and created a system that is, I think, like roughly 10 times more efficient, and now made a contract with Web3 Foundation or Parity Technologies to integrate NOMT into the Polkadot SDK. So that gives you like, I don't know if this is on the optimistic or pessimistic side, but in my mind it registers as sort of like 10x performance improvement. Could be more, could be less, but like roughly that. And that NOMT performance improvement, again, I don't know when it happens, but I know that like Robert Habermeier has been shown to be a very reliable developer. So I'm putting this with an unclear timeline. Let's not put it in this year, but it will be coming, and it brings another 10x improvement, which means just by replicating the same test that we did previously with the spammening, that would already could break 1 million transactions per second. All right, moving on. Let's move to individuality. So what is individuality? Sometimes it is also called proof-of-personhood. So proof-of-personhood is basically a system to build digital citizenship. It is a way how you can identify yourself somehow, but you don't need a centralized KYC mechanism. There is, let's say, a decentralized range of mechanisms or options in how you could identify yourself. And you could prove that you're a human, and you could prove that you're an individual. So you could not create multiple individualities. What you can do is from that one individuality, you can create multiple identities, but you will never be able to join the same group of people 2 times, and basically the problem we have with bots right now. So individuality is a huge counterweight against AI and the spam that we're seeing from AI. And it allows us to prove that we're human on chain and that we exist one time, right? So you could do like experiments like UBI, you can build reputation systems, because suddenly you can have anonymous reputation. You could build digital citizenship systems. And so this is something where Gavin Wood has been working on like actually like working on for about 2 years, but when you listen to the interviews, he says that this problem has been on his mind for like 10 years or maybe even longer. So individuality, we will see multiple things. We will see like multiple mechanisms, and they are called digital individuality mechanism, or this, I don't know, DIM. So we will see those DIMs launch, and then there will be an app. So there will be I don't know what's the exact name, but will be something like citizenship app, or maybe, I don't know. Let's call it citizenship app. Pretty sure it's gonna have a different name. This will launch, and then I'm speculating now. So the way Gavin Wood talks about it, it's a decentralized mechanism. It's not dependent on Polkadot. It's more like a protocol. And so because it's not dependent on Polkadot, what you can be pretty sure when there is a protocol, there has to be a paper, right? So I'm speculating now. No one said this, at least from what I know, or I don't know, maybe I have some ambient memory. But I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a paper where we don't see the preview yet. So I'm pretty sure it will be like a sudden drop of a paper. And again, speculating, but it has been 1 year where Gavin very extensively talked at the Web3 Summit about it. So I feel like he's not the guy to let himself pressure into something, but I guess it would be really great if we see something at the Web3 Summit. So like my speculation, my hope is that we will see the citizenship app and maybe a paper, or like some kind of mechanism. I would say, like, I'm very hopeful that we see something. I know that the palette is already deployed on Hub. But then it's a little bit of a question of how will it be made available to the Hub, right? So we see that the individuality modules, technical modules, parts of them are already deployed on Hub. So once we see smart contracts on the Hub, we also have a good chance that we will start to see some individuality apps, right? And that let's connect it in this way. So I would say once we have smart contracts here, you will see some kind of connection where it's not strongly dependent, right? There is some weak dependency, but we will see something where the Hub interacts with the individuality app, and then the first thing that they will launch is the tattoos. And then there is some weaker mechanisms where you don't need to ink yourself. Maybe like, I don't know, speculating again, but maybe participating in a regular meetup or something, right? So those things, again, we don't have a strict timeline. I'm again making them a little bit weak in terms of the lines. But yeah, let's put them somewhere here, right? Let's not be too optimistic about when there's actually going to launch something, but from the conversations you hear, it's like basically everything is getting lined up. I think DIM 1, which is the tattoos, is basically in audit right now, from what I last heard. So when it is in audit, that means that these two things, yeah, maybe I'm gonna make the connection like this. This is sort of will be like roughly next to each other at some point. Maybe it's ready and we're just waiting for it to launch on Kusama or on Polkadot, right? That is a possibility. Yeah, so just let me speculate. Maybe Gavin drops a paper during the Web3 Summit. Good. So that is individuality, and now we get to Jam. I guess Jam is one of the most relevant topics for all of you. So what is Jam? Jam is another supercomputer, and it is like a blockchain that is a computer on Web3, but it is a more powerful computer in two ways. It can run any kind of program. It has a lot more data availability, and it has a lot more compute. So 3 things. But the most important thing is it can run any kind of program. How is it different from today? Today, when you run a program on the blockchain, it is transactional. Like it can only run, I don't know, like 4 seconds, and then it has to end. And so you have to write your programs in a way where you call them repeatedly, and basically you have to really constrain yourself in your thinking as a developer. While any kind of other program, like your operating system, it runs for hours. Your phone, it runs for hours. If you play a game, it runs for minutes or hours, right? So you want those kinds of applications that don't stop running because there is a block somewhere, right? So that's the big innovation of Jam, is to find a mechanism to, yes, store data on the blockchain and store the state transitions of applications on the blockchain, but have programs that just keep running and running and running. So this is what the Polkadot PVM was invented for. When is it going to launch? In the past, I accidentally, I mistook some information and I fueled the speculation that it's launching this year. This was completely not true. You definitely will not see it this year. You might see some stuff happen next year, but even that, treat it as research and development. Treat it as research and development. So even a testnet, the first version of the testnet was already launching, so we see those already launching. But I'm not sure if this is I guess this is a milestone 1, M1 testnet. So there is in total 5 milestones for Jam. So what you will likely see is M1 testnet, M2 testnet, etc., etc. To see something like a production testnet, or let's say at some point there will be, I don't know, maybe a Kusama or a Paseo transition or something like this. I think no one can really tell you. Maybe the closest core developers. But let's say something like an official testnet, maybe a Paseo transition, or maybe But I think it's still in the future. Treat this as research and development. I guess we are all very certain we will see a system like Jam see the light of the day. They are following a very good plan where they have built a Jam toaster, this supercomputer, this physical supercomputer built under a villa in Lisbon that runs on thousands of machines. So we will see Jam see the light of the day. And they are very methodical in the approach where they specify, they build a system to test it on, they learn from the system tests, and then they refine the systems. It's all against the specification, and then there's different client implementations. So they have a very methodical approach, but it also means it takes a long time. So it's research and development, no timelines. Don't trust anyone who gives you a timeline, says Jam is launching in December or whatever. Yeah. I did this mistake in the past. I was too optimistic of just trying to share information with everyone, and then I shared the wrong information. So whatever, there is at some point in the future there will be an M2 testnet, and then even further in the future official testnet. If you ask me, my guess is we will see it's 2026 or 27. But yeah, this is for the future. And part of that, what we will see is that corechains. We will see the first part of corechains, which is sort of the migration of Polkadot parachains into the Jam paradigm. And then we will also see much more interesting experiments. But even for corechains itself, it will not, my guess is we will not see it happen this year. I know that Basti has been experimenting with this, but from a first experiment to actually a production ready thing, it takes some time. Speaking of Basti is also experimenting with something on the cloud, which is 500 millisecond blocks. And so he has very good prototypes running of this. But we're still some time from the integration. So again, no timeline. This is, you see the dynamic approach of the whole team working here, right? But the 500 millisecond blocks are also something that basically is sort of in the proof of concept stage, and it has been shown to work, but it also highlighted how they need to change a lot of the engine or the backend workings of how block production works. So the proof of concept is being done. It's still not ready to go into an integration phase. So I would not expect to see it this year. I would expect to see it next year, but I think we will see still some significant progress. And maybe I'm wrong, and we start to see it in November or December, right? These are the famous Basti blocks. And this is not the only way to run 500 millisecond blocks. There's also, for example, Peak has been experimenting with their blocks, and they have I think 400 millisecond blocks, and they have it already ready on their testnets, right? From what I hear. So it's possible that once Elastic Scaling launches and Peak can get their hands on some cores, that they will just instantly turn it on, and you will see them, I don't know, running 500, 400 millisecond blocks, right? So, but there is sort of what Basti is creating here is basically one reference implementation that you can use. You can pick it up, and if you build a blockchain, you can run on 500 millisecond blocks. Good. So that's a core functionality. I want to go into a little bit of speculation right now with catalysts. So things that would be hugely interesting, hugely beneficial. And I can start with one happy thing, which is Polkadot Pay. And what we see is that Polkadot Pay, so I hope I can say this reliably, but my understanding is Polkadot Pay, Polkadot Pay, it's an iPhone and Android app. You can use it to pay with your DOT, maybe with your stales. And you can do it, I think you can start in the United States and maybe a few other markets, and then they will grow it globally. It's the first app launched by DAO, and it is in review in the Apple Store. So I think for Android, I guess it's also in review. I don't know the exact timelines, but the thing that made me really excited is to hear, okay, it's actually in review, because a lot of us have been waiting for a long time. It was announced last year. So my guess is, speculation, but my guess is we will see this month. I would like make it a little bit of speculation, but I cannot really do that. Maybe like this. Anyway, my feeling is we will see it this month. I hope I'm not wrong, but yeah, I'm pretty hopeful that in 2 weeks, in 1.5 weeks, when I'm seeing Berto, the project manager of Polkadot Pay, we can celebrate him and celebrate that he finally launched this app, right? So this is Polkadot Pay, the app. We will see the spammenings as catalysts, and then 2 more things. The DOT ETFs. So there was a little bit of confusion that the DOT ETFs have been delayed by the SEC, but that is because there is a very clear process, and the process allows for the listing to be delayed up to, I think, 2 times or 3 times. I don't know, but I looked it up, and there is like this was the last delay that they are permitted to do. So the SEC has to make a final decision in November. So in December we will see spammenings. In November we will have a final decision on the ETFs. Right now we have a very crypto-friendly government in the United States. So the only thing that would speak against the DOT ETF from my perspective is if the government would be biased in some way to like push for certain cryptocurrencies to become ETFs and not for others, because DOT is super decentralized, it has enough trading volume, etc. Right? So all the criteria given for DOT ETF, and that the final decision for the 2 applications, Grayscale and 21 shares, has to come in November. Right? So this is the final timeline for November, and then there's no more waiting. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4 months until we have our decision. And then we have the Polkadot launch party. So, and this is an initiative that I started, which is to just have a global, online and physical celebration of everything that Polkadot has achieved in the last 2 years. Because if you look at it, we did a very, very good transformation about everything that's concerning Polkadot. We have great wallets now. We have Nova Wallet, we have Talisman. We have a great mental model of how we want to develop Polkadot. We want to have Polkadot Cloud and Polkadot Hub. Polkadot Cloud as this service-rich application landscape where you have different services and they're sharing in an interoperable network. And you have Polkadot Hub, which is the starting point for users, for developers, where you have currencies like DOT, ETH, USDC, USDT. You have like USPs like multi-chain orchestration. You have native access to staking. You have native access to governance. So really interesting, a really interesting playground also. We have that coming up. We will have individuality, which I think will be mind-boggling for people once you will start to see the first experience, I guess, in terms of UBI, in terms of anonymous collectives, in terms of forms of digital citizenship and new ways of using your anonymity, but at the same time having reputation. So we have technical infrastructure, we have a friendly access for new users and developers, we have this new fresh mechanism of proof-of-personhood, something that you see also being discussed in Silicon Valley, where, for example, Sam Altman tries it with the orb, and basically this like super scary dystopian version of scanning everyone's eyes and keeping this information on the blockchain. So individuality is the counter proposal to that, where you stay anonymous, where you don't store your biometric markers on the blockchain, right? And then here the research and development section with Jam, looking into building a much more sophisticated supercomputer that can run any kind of program that has more processing throughput and that has petabytes of data available for you. And then in the meantime, we have the Polkadot launch party where we celebrate everything, all of this, with a global online hackathon where you can tap into all these different kinds of things. With physical meetups in lots of cities, you can organize something, and we will push more information on that. And of course, a social media campaign that accompanies everything. When is the Polkadot launch party coming? It's like, my feeling is somewhere between, and I'm organizing it, somewhere between September and October. We have buy-in from the most important stakeholders. So we have Rada from the Web3 Foundation, who will organize the hackathons. We will sit together with teams, all the teams in the ecosystem, make sure they can have a place in the Polkadot launch party if they want to. We will have the Roots initiative taking care of the physical meetups. And we will have Distractive and the social media editorial board covering the marketing side of things. I think it will be a really exciting thing that shows everything that's going on in Polkadot. And yeah, like no fixed date yet, because we want to see how everything around the hub launch is going. And then depending on if everything is launching on time, we will be launching with them on time with the Polkadot launch party. And if there is, for some reason, there is delays, doesn't matter. There is so much to celebrate on Polkadot. You can already try everything out on Kusama in terms of smart contracts, in terms of staking and governance, that there will be a party either way, right? And it's either like focused on the hub, and it's a hub launch party, or it's a Polkadot 2.0 launch party. But this is the biggest opportunity in 4 years in terms of all the big releases that are coming up for Polkadot. And there should not be a reason not to celebrate this year, right? Because, yeah, as I say, right, all these important improvements, we tend to overlook them, but they're actually pretty huge. So I hope there was a lot for you here today. I see that quite a lot of people joined on YouTube and Twitter. Feel free to drop me any questions. We will push this content out over the next few days in smaller bits and clips. And yeah, feel free to reach out if you feel like I left anything out or there's still a question open for you. 3 ways to connect. You can follow on YouTube. It's at Alice and Bob. You can follow on Twitter, where I also regularly push the latest roadmap update. So this is at Alice and Bob. And you can also go to opengov.watch. This is our website. And then if you click on the roadmap, you see the latest information of everything that's going on. And yeah, I think that's it. I will be pushing another graphic of the roadmap, maybe this one, or maybe an updated version of this one that you might already be used to. So I keep pushing this from time to time when we have new updates. But basically everything is turning green, right? So this is, I think, another sign that we made a lot of progress. All right, thank you for tuning in. Was great to present everything, and I wish you a good week. Let me know how you like the format. Goodbye.